so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. Now, of course, understanding this powerful truth is one thing. Applying this incredibly empowering wisdom to everyday life? Well, that's another, which is exactly why we provide you with a fresh serving of soul food for thought 5 days a week to help constantly remind you of what matters most. You are it. And I'm your host, Brandon Beecham. I'm the reflection and extension of you who will be here each Wednesday interviewing a different consciousness changemaker. And on the other 4 weekdays, leading the way to ensure that your perspective is consistently expanded, your vibration is constantly elevated, and your heart is overflowing and full. Also, before we jump into today's episode, I'd like to take about a minute and a half to tell you about a few sponsors that not only help to make it possible to produce this show 5 days a week, but that I'm also genuinely passionate about promoting. The first longtime stellar supporter of the show that I want to mention is Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online with over 8,000 video titles. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. The second sponsor I'm sincerely passionate about promoting is Purium. It's no mystery that bringing your mind, body, and spirit into balance is necessary if a person truly intends to manifest the greatest and grandest version of themselves. So if you've been looking for a way to easily get organic superfoods into your system every day with a simple plan that can help you reestablish a healthier foundation and relationship with food, like I was doing before I found Purium, I highly recommend going to positivehead.com/transformation and checking out the videos and interviews there where I dive deeply into discussions explaining why I take these products every day. And should you ultimately end up on iShopPurium.com to purchase any of their 50 plus amazing superfood products, be sure to use the code POSITIVEHEAD, all one word, for a 25% discount. Alrighty then, all you positive heads. Here we go again. So happy to be back with you guys on this magical Monday. In the studio, I am not alone either. I've had some company the last few episodes. This time I have the lovely Corey Lynn Kircher, aka Koko. Koko, yo, hello.
Hi, hello.
Coco's been on before a while back. When she's been in town, she's a dear friend, and she always has some really insightful things to add. We were actually just talking yesterday, and you started giving me your breakdown on abundance and your journey with abundance, and I'm like, we're talking about that tomorrow on the show.
Totally.
You're joining in. You're in town. Let's turn on the microphone. And yeah, it's always really, really great to have. Originally we met through the show years ago, and it's so great to always have listeners participate. Of course, we have the P-Head Posse episodes on Friday, and I just love, mixing it up with you guys more and more. And for those of you who haven't joined the Positive Heads Facebook group, that's a great place to connect with other listeners. It's a private group where you can open up, ask questions, for things maybe you don't want the rest of Facebook land to see. And yeah, join us there. And of course, also, Koko, that's the whole premise behind the new show, which I can't believe it. I am actually moving out of this studio in a week after being here 8 years in this actual house, because my studio is in my house. Moving to Venice for Optimistic. And it's a big, big shift. And of course, that's going to include you guys as part of the show. very much so with, and if you're not familiar, you haven't heard about it yet, check out Optimistic, spelled MYSTIC. .tv. You can check out the video I put together, kind of breaking down, what all it entails. But basically, it's going to be a late night style talk show, all consciousness elevating, soul share style guest, but including live visionary painting artists. So, and so far we've got some really epic artists lined up that are going to be live painting during the opening monologue. We'll talk about their piece, what it is and what it represents. And, of course, a lot of these things are like straight up like channeled visions from beyond the veil from the way they look. And of course, according to the artist, many times that's I've talked to many of these artists and that's what they sort of say is like, hey, these pieces are like shown to me. And oftentimes with very deep, profound meaning and symbolism tied in. And then of course, towards the end of the live taping of Optimistic, there's going to be not only a live musical performance, but before that, those of you who want to step into the Mystic Manor vortex and co-create magic, we're going to be doing retreats over 37 weeks throughout July 2019 and July 2020, where three different rooms are going to be, you guys, the listeners, and then you get to come out and be on the actual live taping of Optimistic. So we've still got spots left, probably, I don't know, we're getting close to maybe half of the spots filled up, not quite. And I would absolutely love to talk to any of you who are interested and work out, the financial aspect of it so that you can afford to come for the full week and, make payments. And I've even worked out discounts in some cases for folks. I just want to do everything that I can to make sure everyone who really feels called to come can come. And of course, Koko, that ties in really, really well with what we're talking about today, because we're talking about playing with abundance. And when you started talking to me about it, you just randomly started talking to me about it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the conversations I'm having with a lot of the people who are coming to the Mystic Manor to experience Optimistic for the full week. And, there's going to be workshops, by the way. Guys, I couple really cool developments in the last week. One is for one of the workshop days, it's going to be an incredible woman, Kim, who is going to be sharing Dr. Joe Dispenza's. She's one of his right-hand women, helping to facilitate Dr. Joe Dispenza's workshops. And he's really blown up in this sort of realm of awakening the planet. I mean, he has thousands of people at his events. He's probably right up there with Abraham as my favorite teacher. And so I've really wanted to call him in to being on the show. And, well, I called in his right-hand woman, or one of them, who helps to facilitate his events. And she's going to be teaching some of all those things at the Mystic Manor. So to me, having Dr. Joe's work being taught, his book and everything is going to be used as part of your retreat experience. Like, it's so super, super inspiring. And so that's just developed in the last week or so. Also, I found out, the first live taping, Koko, of Optimistic is on July 20th. And it is going to, there's actually going to be a reporter from Vanity Fair that's going to be there. So right in the deep end of the pool, I'm not even going to get to work out the kinks on the first live taping because, and of course it's all in alignment. The universe knows what it's doing, but I'm like excited about that. And also I'm like, the very first taping, like, that's like that's like, ground zero, but
it doesn't suck.
It doesn't suck.
No, it doesn't suck at all.
There's worse things that could happen. So yeah, you guys, if you've been thinking about coming, reach out to me. Drop me an email, brandon@positivehead.com, and let's talk about it. I've been jumping on calls with people. I can, I'm doing a lot of creative things to empower and help co-create those of you who want to come to be able to come. And like I said, Koko, this topic is this playing with abundance topic that you brought up last night. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my conversations with a lot of the people coming to the Mystic Manor, because it's a financial stretch for them, just like in some cases, not all cases, but in some cases it's a financial stretch. And just like with me putting on the whole, shooting Optimistic, moving into the Mystic Manor, it's almost, to do all 37 episodes, pay for all the retreat stuff, close to like $750,000 over the course of a year. I didn't have all that. I still don't. I'll have all the I's dotted and T's crossed. It's like that. It's sort of like, I was talking to someone about it, and they were like, yeah, it's like that one Indiana Jones movie where he has to step off the cliff and then entrust that the bridge will appear under his feet. And as soon as he steps off, it's like magically there, you know? And that's what it feels like, I think.
Exactly what it is.
For a lot of us.
Totally.
And so why don't you take a minute and kind of break down what you were sharing with me yesterday about how your mindset has shifted with abundance in the last year and a half or so.
So it's funny because the last time I was here, the last time I was on the podcast, we brought up money as well.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So we talked about it then. And I was obviously in a very different time then than I am now. But now I just adopted this like fun, creative way of thinking about it because, I'm a creative person, and same as like creating poetry or artwork, it's the same thing. And so like those poems existed within me and I gave them life. And if I can think about it, and I do, the same way, if I can have that mindset with money as well, then it's like, okay, it's within me and I just have to, find a creative way to get it out. So it's not like the money isn't there. It's just, what are the creative, fun ways you can, it's like, it's creative and fun to write a poem. It's creative and fun to draw something. And so it can be creative and fun to like figure out, money.
How to play with call abundance into your...
call it in. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's like the stepping off the bridge and just knowing it's going to be there, and just kind of not saying no to things because of the fear that the money's not going to be there. It always shows up. It just always does. And so, it's like kind of playing a game with yourself in a way. Like, it's almost like chess. Like, I can move this thing over here to move this thing over here and move that thing over there. And, I was talking to somebody Saturday night when we were at Disclosure, and she's like, I don't know how I'm going to make my car payment. It's due in 10 days. And I'm like, well, it's going to come, right? Like, you've never not made it. It's going to come. And so don't say no to experiences because you're afraid you're not going to have it. Because at the end of the day, it always shows up. Like, what are the creative, fun ways you can get it to show up? And so, yeah, I mean, and there's obviously like nuances to that. And
sure.
And every situation is a little different. But yeah, I just started to make it like a game.
That's what I loved when you said that to me. You're like, yeah, I went from making it this, and I thought about it and I was like, how often do we think about anything financial as this burden, as this weight on our shoulders? Like, oh my God, I got this thing. Right. This heavy thing is hanging over me.
Yeah.
This doom and gloom of how do I pay for it?
Yeah, it's 10 more days. I've got 9 more days. I've got 8 more days.
And and taking that and saying, oh, this is going to be fun. I have such trust and faith that I'm going to find a creative solution. I trust that it's coming. And, I remember, I want to say it might have been even Dr. Bruce Lipton when he was on a while back, and you can go, guys, and search the archives on positivehead.com. If you search Bruce Lipton, I think it might have been him. He was talking about this with me. This is several years ago. And if it was not him, whoever it was saying, how they needed $83,000 or some crazy, pretty high number based off most people's perspective on money, and how they just put this energy into we're gonna attract it, we're gonna figure it out, we're gonna attract it, and then like, lo and behold, some random inheritance or some investment his wife had made 20 years ago that they'd forgotten about, and then they found out, like, oh, by the way, this is now worth $83,000. Like, it can happen in like super dramatic fashion.
Yeah. They talk about that in The Secret as well. Like, if you write yourself a fake check and then put it somewhere.
Jim Carrey did that.
Yeah. And you put it somewhere where you can see it every day. And it's like, that's how fake money is. You know what I mean? Like, it's
all energy.
Exactly. And so, like, you look at it every day, that's yours. Like, that's your money. And, everything's like in escrow, And so as you're enjoying yourself, approaching, for example, those 10 days, I got 10 days to pay my car payment. If you're enjoying yourself as those 10 days are coming about, and it's like, you start to forget, like, oh shit, like, and then the day of, it's like, oh wow, I actually have, it might be down to the dollar, but it's there. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know, there's a lot of trust that goes into that too. Mm-hmm. But being able to like move through your life instead of it being like this scarce thing.
Yep.
And this, oh no, something's going to get taken away from me if I don't have it. Instead, it's like, no, I have it. It's mine. And maybe I just have to be creative in the ways that I accept that it's going to show up.
Right. That's a great point. Is like, instead of the scarcity approach, this playful approach, which, I think our whole reality is based off understanding this. It doesn't mean make stupid decisions that are going to just totally screw you. Like, I'm going to go empty my bank account today and tomorrow I need it for something really important. Yeah. It's like, but making, having that inherent trust and that childlike approach to it, I believe is what, creates, it creates all the abundance that is within us. Like you're saying, it's like we're one with the abundance that created the entire universe. Mm-hmm. That's how abundant we are. We're the ones who actually created money and the trees and the resources and the gold in the ground and the stars in the sky. And that's how abundant you actually are at your core. That's at your root, what you're connected to. And we've been so long sitting on the back of a whale fishing for a minnow that we've forgotten, and it's like, Jesus said, with the faith of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. So if you can start to shift, and this is a journey, and I talk about this quite a bit because it's been a major journey for me. And I just loved the way you said it, and that's why I wanted to talk about it today. Let's turn this into play. And you've seen it completely transform.
Oh, my whole life has transformed.
Right.
Yeah, like just a couple weeks ago, I was talking to my sister, and I had this big job, and I was waiting for the check to clear so I could pay the people who helped me on the job. And it said something to my sister, and I was like, "Girl, I'm not even worried about it. I'm so rich." Mm-hmm. And then I walked down to my house, opened my mailbox, and there was a card in my mailbox that was a thank you card that had $150 in cash in it.
You totally didn't count on getting it.
No, I had no idea it was going to be there. I was not at all counting on it. And then, and there it was. It was like, I literally said, I'm so rich. Yep. And I felt that.
Yep.
I meant
That's the key.
I felt it. And then I opened my mailbox, and there was $150 just sitting there waiting for me.
Damn. This stuff is real. That's the crazy thing about it. And whether you're stretching to make your car payment or you're stretching yourself to come to the Mystic Manor, like, a lot of the people I've talked to, it's like they've taken that same, it's the same plunge that I've taken, like I sort of stepped off the cliff. I'm disrupting. As I said, I'm moving in a few days, and it's like, this has been you're here. This is like the coziest, comfiest, property ever. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm disrupting everything for uncertainty and because that's what it takes to stretch and to grow. And so I could look at it and say, oh my gosh, this whole adventure is going to cost me $750,000 that I don't even have, and I'm going to be in debt forever. And oh my God, and what if it, and all these fearful thoughts, and what if it fails, and and on and on and on. Or I can bring that excitement of, I have such trust, such faith. What the energy behind it is to help awaken more people on the planet. Yeah. And I deserve the play. I deserve to have this magical experience. And that's the thing. It's like, you create abundance in this way. Yes, that's the formula. That's the energetic formula to drum up within yourself.
And by helping people out, like with like payment plans and stuff like that, I just think that's so badass of you, because that's going to change the way that they feel about it too, you know? Right. And so it's like, okay, I can manage, for example, $200 a month. I can manage that to go have this experience. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is having the experience is what's going to create
more abundance.
More of it.
Right. It's like Sandra Walter, who was just on the other day. She's like, there's something about being in person with people, that is so powerful. And essentially what we're creating. I was talking to someone else yesterday, and they were saying, who was I talking to? I was talking to someone about coming to the Mystic Manor, and they're like, I did a reading with, I think, Ambrosia, who's, active in the Positive Heads Facebook group and does Inner Bloom podcast with Alexa, who does, the P-Head Posse on Friday. And she said she was talking to Ambrosia about coming to the... Oh, yeah, this is what it is. She was talking to Ambrosia about coming to the Mystic Manor. And Ambrosia was like, look, this is going to create more abundance for you. Like, and that's what I've been saying to everyone. I just heard this through this person yesterday. And it's like, that's exactly what I've been saying. It's like, it creates... It doesn't cost you anything because you create more as a result.
Yeah.
And that's how my approach has been. It's like, it's not costing me $750,000. I'm creating more abundance. Like, it's going to make me millions that I actually then turn around and just funnel back into creating more goodness in the world. And it's just currency. It's meant to flow. And when you say, hey, I want it to flow through me and I want it to flow to something good and something that symbolizes my own worth. And, what I was going to say a moment ago is, what Berger was telling her too is that the actual physical site of the Mystic Manor is like a vortex, is like sacred ground. And I don't, I know Venice Beach is like a hot spot for like transformational energy and awakening energy, and so much spiritual energy is sort of flowing through that area. So I believe that because I've been saying it. I'm like, this is going to be a hub. This is going to be a hub of consciousness. And when anyone steps into that vortex, our aim, those of us facilitating it, is to give people like a Sobet experience, which is like a transference of energy. So you walk in and it truly is, not only do you have a once in a lifetime, one of a kind experience, but you walk out having... It's like the ultimate spiritual tune-up, right? You walk into this vortex of energy. You're the sum of the 5 people you surround yourself with, they say, right? So you're going to come in and you can't help, as Sandra was talking about, is like when you're in the presence of high vibration for any extended period of time, it's becomes a part of you.
Yeah, it's activating. It activates so many like other facets of your life too.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited for you and for everybody coming.
Oh, me
so
too.
Awesome.
It's going to be such a good time. And, and this isn't just, I'm using that as an example because it's so front and center in my life right now, and I'm having these conversations almost every day with someone about abundance and how to create it, and so you and I weren't even really talking about that per se, and you started bringing up how much your life has changed and how you did it, and I'm just like, it's so good. Instead of that daunting, and this goes for your job, this goes for anything. Like, instead of approaching anything that is usually challenging for you with this daunting, heavy energy, what if you make it playful? What if you bring a trusting, childlike, energy to it? And you've always been supported in everything. If you don't like your job, well, guess what? Love it where you're at and watch yourself transcend it. It's that heavy, fearful, cloud energy that keeps you locked into limited abundance, a job you don't like, a relationship you don't like. I mean, bring playfulness to everything.
Yeah, it's the same. I keep on going back to creating art. And so if I were to think like, oh, it's really hard to draw, faces. It's really hard to do that. It's really hard to do that. Then it's no fun. I'm not going to ever want to learn how to draw faces or, learn how to paint or learn how to write poetry. You're never going to want to do it because you've been telling yourself the story that it's challenging all this time. Yeah. But when it's fun and you're like, wow, this is really fun, then you wind up getting good at it. It's the same thing. It's just the same thing as any kind of art.
Yeah.
It's a work of art.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because I've never heard anyone put like dealing with you think of art and then you think of finances as like polar opposites traditionally, right? You think of the person who is, I'm an artist, I'm an accountant or bookkeeper. It's like two very different energies, right?
It is two different it is, but it also isn't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You really, when you can cross them over, now you're getting into something really interesting.
Right. Because, so last summer I lost my job and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I spent my whole summer not focusing on my career, focusing on, self-care and just trying to maintain for the most part. And it was like, I didn't know where the hell I was going to get money for anything. I didn't have a job at the time. And so now it's like, it's fun to me, there was a time in my life where I was like, okay, if my sister could loan me $100 and Venmo it to me, then in 2 days I'm going to go do this job, and then I'll get the $100 back, and then I'll Venmo it right back to her. It's like fake, you know what I mean? It's not even real. And so when I started thinking of it like that, like, oh, okay, I could do that, and then I'll Venmo this over here, and I'll move this over there, and I'll move that over there, and it's like kind of cool, you know, like.
It's a lot more fun than saying, "Oh, woe is me."
Yeah,
things are so hard.
Right.
I mean, I think of my brother-in-law. God bless him. He's he's always really struggled and had a lot of financial struggles and things like that, and just in challenges in general. And if you look at his energy, it's sort of like it's just written all over him, like that. You know, like in the story is this life is so hard, money is so hard, things are grueling, things, you know, and it's like I've even worked on, you know, talking to him, you know, the best I can. Like, look, if you can find a way to have radical appreciation for what you do have, look at the abundance that is reflected in your life right now. You're so caught up on the lack of what's wrong, but look at the abundance. Look at the, you know, Abraham talks about this. She goes, get radical with your gratitude about the abundance you do have. Look at the padded seat under your butt right now. Look at the warm roof over your head wherever you are. Look at the fact that you've eaten. You know how many people out there right now have empty stomachs?
Totally.
You know, look at the fact of the people who love you in your life. You know, the people that care about you. I mean, look at any health, you know, having health. You're not, you know, imagine being a billionaire with stage 4 cancer laying in their bed. What good would that be? I mean, health is the ultimate wealth. So if you have that, you are truly wealthy. And the more where attention goes, energy flows. So wherever you're if you can focus on, be radically grateful for what you do have, that's another way to bring the play into this. If you don't want something, give it none of your energy. If it's making you feel, or it's instigating you choosing to feel sort of depressive or low vibration, turn your focus elsewhere. You're like a radio tuner. And as you learn that this is the only thing the only game in town is to like start tuning into the things that you want to see more of. I want to have more things to be grateful for. Okay, well, what can I be grateful for now? Which drums up the vibration of gratitude, which creates more of it. I mean, this is all real. It really works. It's all pretend. You're in a holographic reality and you're infinitely abundant. Like, let's get playing this game a little more cleverly, shall we?
Yeah, it's a video game.
It truly is.
Just trying to level up, you know?
Level up.
Level up.
Well, speaking of leveling up and galactivating, this has been awesome. And we have a song to leave you guys with today called Galactivation by Magica Om. And for any of you guys who are feeling the call to the Mystic Manor, once again, drop me an email, brandon@positivehead.com. You know, as far as the financial aspect of it and working out the details, you know, as Henry Ford once said, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. And I am just so excited to co-create with you guys. So much good is opening up as it's starting to become more and more real. So here we grow, everyone. This is Galactivation, Magica Om. Koko, thank you so much for swinging by and sharing your incredible wisdom.
Thank you. I love you.
Oh, I love you too. And love all of you listening. Till next time, journey well. Also, before we cue up today's song, I wanted to let you all know that we have finally created the Game with the Universe on our website, where you can choose the first number that comes to your mind, and it'll pull up that episode number of the podcast. I've been saying this is a great way to co-create synchronicity and magic with your higher self for quite some time by doing this manually. But now if you go to positivehead.com/YO universe, there is a super fun and simple interface to play this game with your higher self. I firmly believe just by setting the intention to play in this way, it opens up the door for magic, and it's a synchronistic way to hone in on nuggets of wisdom out of the huge catalog of episodes that are specifically appropriate for you at this time in your journey to becoming the next greatest and grandest version of yourself. And it also makes for a super fun way to engage and invite friends, family, people on social media to check out the podcast as well. So be sure to check out positivehead.com/YOUNIVERSE. And be sure to tell all your friends so they can play a game with the universe, which also helps the show to reach new people, which I greatly appreciate. And as a quick reminder, be sure to also check out positivehead.com/transformation if you're curious to learn more about Purium superfoods and why I take them every day. On this journey of becoming the next greatest and greatest version of ourselves that we have all embarked upon, I can't stress the importance of managing your physical vibration enough. And quite honestly, Purium has put together the simplest plan I've found to do so, and I'm sincerely excited to share it with all of you. Lastly, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is my personal go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear me constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place I know of to do it, period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out.